Good morning again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and as you can see, we are obviously once again going back to down the rabbit hole and continuing on with that Jenny McCarthy interview. Before we do, real quick disclaimers. Folks, for everything I cover throughout the duration of the Down the Rabbit Hole series, all sources for my information are going to be able to be easily found right there in the description box. So should you like to review the materials yourselves, you should definitely be able to do so. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I do use profanity, and some of the topics covered on this channel can be particularly triggering. So if you have a child that is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is advised. And folks, we're going the usual route. First, we're going to read the question, rant, read the response, another rant. Alright? Okay, so where we left off yesterday, this one states, how do you balance the need of the autistic child with the needs of the other children in the house who are far less challenging and are rewarded for that with far less attention? Wow! What a gaslighting question. You see, your autistic child requires more attention and doesn't it? Can I speak as a middle-aged autistic here? Is that alright? Because I'm going to do so. Okay. You see, I grew up in a home where there was 4 of us. Count us 4. Alright? It was me, my brother, my stepbrother, and my stepsister. Let me lay out a few facts for you. Out of all 4 kids, in spite of having my own major issues, out of all 4 kids, I was consistently the one that was the most well-behaved and got in the least amount of trouble. Let me say that again for the people in the back. Me, the autistic sibling, out of 4 kids, managed to get myself in far less trouble and dire straits than my 3 other so-called neurotypical siblings. See, it was kind of the polar opposite in our house. I did not require near the maintenance that my neurotypical siblings did. I spent a lot of time alone. Whether it was in libraries or in my room reading, I was constantly reading. All the time. I was quiet. I did my chores when I was supposed to do my chores without complaint or argument. But didn't they, because of your meltdowns and things? Let me tell you something about neurotypical kids. They are not what the media tries to tell you that they are. We're just going to focus on my brother for a moment. Okay? If you think neurotypical kids do not have some major behavioral issues, you're not being honest with yourself. You do not remember high school, and you certainly do not remember the high school parking lot. Neurotypical kids drink, get into car wrecks, and sometimes die. Neurotypical teens can get deeply and very scarily caught into drugs. They tend to be more susceptible to things such as eating disorders. They are far more susceptible to suggestion. They are far more susceptible to peer pressure. They have angry outbursts that can get out of control every bit as much as one of my meltdowns do. Okay? So you say they spent less time with you than the other siblings? Yes. That is exactly what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. They required more maintenance, more help than I ever required. in spite of the fact that I am the autistic sibling. But, we just have your word. I have receipts. I mean, go find any of my social media. I've been on here for a minute. Yeah. Okay. Now, I have very specific problems that my siblings did not have that were probably extremely difficult for my overworked mom and overworked stepdad and overworked dad to be able to handle? Of course I did. But my neurotypical siblings had their equally as disturbing issues on their end that also needed help being dealt with. Putting this all on our backs, saying, but you require more, you require this, you require that. You want to know where the resentment towards me in regards to my siblings came from? It was because I was the golden child. What I mean by that was I was the one who went out of her way to not get in trouble. Or if I had to get in trouble, I had to try and minimize it as much as humanly possible. I avoided conflict like it was the bubonic plague come back to life coming to get me. I did everything I could to be well behaved, okay? You're not putting all this on autistic backs. You're not going to sit here and blame us because you're taking away attention from other children. And say, but that's your fault because you have autism, so you require more attention. We're not saying it's your fault, but we're telling you it's your fault. No, it isn't. But what if they were acting out because you were getting all the attention? Please explain to me when in my life, if I pulled it up for you to watch like it was a DVD or streaming service, that you ever feel I got special treatment because I was never coddled a single day in my life. As a matter of fact, the parents were harder on me than my other siblings because they wanted me to understand that the world did not care if I was autistic or not. To help make me ready for a world that was not built for people like me. And I gotta say, I owe a lot of my success to exactly that. Exactly that. The fact that the goalposts were never moved for me. Never. I was expected to do just as well, if not better, than my 3 other siblings. And out of the siblings, it was, yes, yours truly, that actually graduated high school. Okay? First one to go to college. Stop. We are not a tragedy, and we are not going to become a tragedy no matter how many times you repeat yourself. Okay? I'm so tired. But then they get rewarded with far less attention because they're not as challenging. Well, guess what? I, the autistic one, was the one that got less attention because I was less challenging than my neurotypical siblings. I provided no drama. Was not a glutton for conflict. I even wasn't so much with teenage rebellion because I enjoyed breathing. Rebellion didn't come till my 20s. You remember that line, don't you? There's a time for everything and it's called college. I'm tired. I'm tired of us being blamed for all of society's ailments just because they think I'm weird. I find neurotypicals disturbing, okay? At least some of you all. But anyways, let's continue on to the next paragraph. Jenny says therapists deal with that all the time. They strongly urge that you bring healthy kids, or what we call typical kids, into the therapy. Get them involved with the autistic child. It's because doctors are morons when it comes to social interaction, particularly when dealing with neurodivergence. They brought in neurotypical kids for me to associate with, Jenny. You know what they saw? You think they saw somebody that they wanted to befriend and take under their wing? No, they saw me as a giant, walking, talking target. And I was subjected to absolutely never-ending, relentless bullying. Until middle school, when I had enough and when, Hulk smashed to a desk and threw it into a concrete wall. Neither here nor there. I still have distinctive memories of that. No, it didn't help, okay? You want to know what brought me out of my social isolation? Being surrounded by my own kind. Anxiety, gone. Permission to be my authentic autistic self with nobody sitting there judging everything I did and trying to correct it? Check. I could be my info dumping, happy reading self with no judgment. That's where I made my most important friendships. That is what finally got me out of my cocoon. It wasn't when I was young having these neurotypical kids forced on me and me being forced on them. You can't force friendship. Let me say that again. You cannot force friendship and camaraderie. They were alien to me, I was alien to them. But amongst my own kind, well now. That's when I finally felt socially accepted enough. That's how you get the person that you kept talking to you today. With the help of individuals who have worked in this field, I got involved and became a part of advocacy. I got to be a part of groups where I was surrounded by people who were just like me. No judgment, no demands, no insistence on me performing neurotypical light theater for neurotypical consumption. And that's when my social development accelerated to the point you see it today. Until that time, I was so socially stunted. I mean, at that point, the few friends I did have usually started out due to me being a pity case. After that, my whole world changed. A whole new world opened up where I could have friends who understood me, who didn't have the condition of continuing to be my friend by trying to force me into a mold that they found palatable. So this idea of you got to bring him in, learn how to play with real, normal children. First of all, your concept of what a normal child is and what they actually are two very different things. There's almost this bizarre Leave It to Beaver version of neurotypicality that they serve parents. It's quite disturbing. Let me continue here. Also, it is absolutely imperative for the typical kids to have time by themselves, to go out to dinner or even on vacation while someone else cares for the autistic child. Wow, Jenny. Way to reinforce that freaking disabled isolation from everybody else. Just by themselves. Well, how did your mom do it? Long car rides. It's not taking trips that exclude everybody, that exclude someone intentionally. Are you kidding? Do you have any idea how painful that is to a young child, Jenny, for you to say, we're going on vacation? No, you have to stay here because you're just too much. Do you know what that feels like? You know how psychologically damaging that is to a young child? I was never excluded from other activities with my other siblings. Never. Most events for all of us were full family affairs. Everybody went. Nobody was left out. Diagnosis or no diagnosis. My stepbrother used to race motocross. The whole family went. My brother Mike used to do BMX racing. Whole family went. I did gymnastics. I was in band. I was in choir. Whole family went. Nobody got left behind because of their diagnosis. Nobody. And my childhood was not the best in the world. But there are some areas that I just read this interview and I'm just genuinely have my head blown. How you think that that is in any way, shape, or form okay. Wow. Because that's not horrifying at all. We love being singled out and told how we're the burden. I mean, that doesn't cause depression or psychological self-hatred at all at an early developing age. With ramifications down the road that can be absolutely horrifying, and one of the main reasons why so many of us don't live to see 40. When the families eat at home, sometimes the autistic child will have dinner first and then watch a movie while everyone else has dinner in peace. Wow! That tells me how you feel towards your son, Jenny. That tells me how you feel towards your son. We just want you to go and leave us in peace. To your young, developing son. Putting the burden of dysfunction of the family on the shoulders of the autistic child instead of your failed parenting, your self-worship, and your pseudoscience. I've always disliked you, Jenny McCarthy. But going through this just shows me how despicable of a human being you really are. On that dark note, folks, we're going to close out for this one. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. Please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments, and make sure that you are set up to continue to receive notifications. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.